culture is plastic because the public and the children, of course, who are heavily indoctrinated now as soon as they walk into kindergarten and then they're into junior school, they don't have much of a... They'll take whatever culture is presented to them as normal, and they use all kinds of, again, techniques in school to make sure that it is so. You don't get your little bit of paper on leading school unless you've been quality approved by those who rule the system. That's what the paper represents. You can now go and work in their system. You're not a reject. If you're a reject, you see, you'd already be quizzing and asking questions which they don't like in school. And it's all groupthink today anyway. And these sciences were really discoursed upon hundreds of years ago, how to control the public, how to create cultures, destroy cultures. And of course the easiest thing is to destroy it. You again study it again, see what holds it together, what customs laws and social laws especially hold it together, and then you simply attack them and attack them and attack them and get them and actually familiarize them with the deviancy, whatever the deviancy happens to be. And that's what Hollywood, of course, has been famous for doing as part of its job. And the media is also in bed with it because it's worldwide. The media is an essential part of governance and conditioning you for the next step and the next step and the next step. Now, Plato and others also talked about how important the fashion, and he called it industry in the translation, was as well in ancient times. So they had drama, music, and the fashion industry. And people think that, again, with the presentations on television, with these strange characters who like to design women's clothing, it's just astonishing that people don't still think they're independent and separate from each other and all the rest of it. But no, they're not. There's always this is how it's to be. It's no different in music. This is going to be the way for 20 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's going to be blues. It's going to be bluegrass. It's going to be this, that. It's going to be rap. Blah blah. That's how it is. And same in the fashion industry. That's why you got the miniskirt coming in at the same time as the pill was given out, folks. It was no coincidence. Anyway, he's the fashion industry from the Telegraph, and it says here, masculine suits spread like wildfire. There's the headline. This is a handout, obviously, because it's meant to grab you as a normalcy right away. So masculine suits spread like wildfire. This is for women. They say that 3's a trend, but 6 masculine suits in a week, that's a full-blown movement. This is written, obviously, by PR specialists, public relations marketers, and just basically put into the paper. Leighton Meester was almost unrecognizable as she chose an androgynous look at the Gotham Independent Film Awards in a charcoal color designed by Tom Brown. Oh, Tom Brownie. Leighton Meester was almost unrecognizable as she chose step away from the party dress. If you want to make a style statement this Christmas, you need to think about investing in a masculine trouser suit. Spotted on no less than 6 starlets in the past week alone. And you think that's a coincidence? You see, you follow the stars. You can't think for yourself. You have no pride in yourself. And you can't even go by your own thoughts or convictions. In fact, you might not even know what your convictions are anymore. They're always in flux. That's what they do, you see. From the top, you follow. That's the stars. They give you the stars to follow. And so there's 6 starlets, just like Bernays, of course, with his smoking he got some of the celebrities in his day, and a big, massive parade, basically festival, and had them pull up their skirts and show their cigarettes stuck in the top of their nylons to make it all sexy, to make them, for a fashion statement, he said, supposedly. And of course he got millions back from the tobacco industry for doing so. But he got them all smoking. It made it a sexy thing to do and a masculine thing to do. You're now competing. You're doing it all yourself. This was women's liberation, yada, yada, yada. Even though Bertrand Russell said years later that women didn't fight for liberation. They didn't win anything. Science gave it to them through chemistry. And that's so true. Anyway, 6 starlets sport this stuff. The trouser suit is squeezing out the generic red carpet frock and staking its claim as a stylish option for the more fashion-forward celebrity. So obviously you want to copy them. You don't get left out in the cold, do you? So, it goes through the usual rubbish of how they looked, yada, yada, yada. And then word quickly spread around the globe to Australia, where Lara Bingo showed up in the GQ Men of the Year Awards in a black suit and white shirt, accessorized with a black ribbon necktie, etc., etc. And I won't read any more of this rubbish, but you see how simple it is to do this and give you your beliefs, to give you your behavior, because you are given your behavior in every era. And how you dress, and even what songs you'll sing in your head, or whistle. I don't know anybody whistles anymore. It's kind of hard to whistle into your cell phones. It sounds all blurred, I think. But anyway, that's how easy it is to do what is done. And opinions too are changed very, very quickly. I think Jacques Ellul said people don't really consciously think through things. They actually do it through a form of osmosis. They hear the experts prattle away, and it sinks into their subconscious without going through any formal process of reasoning or critical analysis. And then it becomes their opinion, especially when everyone around them adapts and adopts that opinion so quickly too. That's how it's really, really done. And I've talked before this week and the last maybe couple of weeks on Bertrand Russell, who was a big player in all of this phase that you're going through today. And he literally, with others, again the Huxleys and all the big players of the time who did write about it and were not complaining. They wrote because they knew that most folk would never read their stuff anyway or even know what they're really getting at. And you find that this is what he said in the Scientific Outlook. He says the care of infants, this is for the time we're already been in for a little while. Infants intended to belong to the governing class would seldom be left to the mothers. Well, that's the way it is with them. They're set off. They get special nannies now. Mothers would be selected by their eugenic qualities, and these would not necessarily be the qualities required in a nurse. On the other hand, the early months of pregnancy might be more burdensome than at present, since the fetus would be subjected to various kinds of scientific treatment intended to affect beneficially not only its own characteristics, but those of its possible descendants. By the way, when you think of scanning the fetus with microsound in the womb, I've gone through the articles about that too. They made it a trend again. You pass, let's see the fetus in the womb, mummy, and she goes all over the internet, and how it heats up the brain of the baby, because fetus really is just a baby, and it can cause brain damage. So there's obviously a technique for the masses as well. Anyway, fathers would, of course, have nothing to do with their own children. Well, we're here already. This was written in the 1930s. So he'd already planned this phase. He didn't do it himself. He didn't learn this by himself either. He was a member of an elite, a multi-generational elite. And he was specially bred for his task and taught for his task as well. It says there would be, in general, only one father to every 5 mothers. Well, you've seen that with artificial insemination for the last 30-odd years. And it's quite likely that he would never even have seen the mothers of his children. That's just what he said. The sentiment of paternity would thus disappear completely. Probably in time the same thing would happen, though to a slightly less degree in regard to mothers. If birth were prematurely induced and the child separated from its mother at birth, maternal sentiment would have little chance to develop.